Let's take a look at Antiquarian, the Peter Pan winner, which is the, as we know, is the prep for the Belmont, which will be run at Saratoga this year. So seeing as how the Peter Pan was run at Aqueduct, it takes on a little different feel than normally. We see he's Antiquarian's owned by Centennial Farms, Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez, the die-hard duo that have been successful over the years. And we see Preservationist, the sire, and Lifetime Memory, the mare out of Istan. You don't see that name too often. So you see that he's had 4 starts and been pretty effective so far. And this would certainly be the sternest challenge to date, but certainly a good sign winning a Grade 3 stakes race. We take a look at the pedigree, and again, seeing by Preservationist, who the longer the better for this one on the Arch, Chris S. Roberto line. Particularly Arch is a big-time stamina influence. And that's noted by the dosage index, which is 2.5. See a pretty good GSV, or genetic strength value score. He's competitive pedigree-wise. Lifetime Memory has had, but didn't race a whole lot, as you can see, and has only had 1 starter, being Antiquarian, so kind of hard to gauge her effectiveness. You see on the Conduit mare profile, you have a little bit of skew towards stamina, which I would say is positive. But from Preservationist, I don't think 1.25 miles is going to be a problem for Antiquarian at all. You see the get from Preservationist fairly early in the sire career. Antiquarian being the 2nd place in earnings with Band of Gold, that Kenny McPeak filly, who was on the Oaks Trail for a little while, being number 1. So the jury's still out on Preservationist as a sire, but for your perusal, these are the ones that he's produced so far. And again, as we mentioned, we look over and see Antiquarian is the only foal, so hard to gauge on that side. So very young in terms of pedigree connections, and we'll just have to see about class in that regard. We look at the Equibase, and we do see one thing of note that you always love to see is the steady progression in speed figures. He's getting progressively better with every start. The Louisiana Derby, you might recall, Antiquarian broke from the gate, or broke out of the gate before they started the race. And they put him back in, and didn't have a bad trip. Kind of expected him to be on the lead, but he rated and kind of flattened out in the stretch. But it wasn't a bad effort, and obviously he built on it, learned from it to win the Peter Pan. So a lot of positives with Antiquarian coming in here, and we're going to take a look at the Peter Pan and see how he fared. So here's the Peter Pan. It is important to note that there were quite a few scratches in this race, so this field went down to 6. Antiquarian is in the 4 hole, but with the saddle blanket number 6. And it's also important to note this is a 2-turn race, whereas at Belmont the Peter Pan would normally be around 1 turn. So actually, in some respects, I think this is a better primer for the Belmont at Saratoga at 1.25 miles, because it is around 2 turns.
All set for the Peter Pan. And they're off.
See a good level break for Antiquarian.
Did break quickly, and Unique Insight.
Unique Insight was definitely going to be the speed in this race, and Antiquarian just chooses to rate off. Got carried a little wide. You see the Wine Steward was the big favorite here, and rating just off a Unique Insight. And Protective was a little bit of a surprise to be up nearer the leaders, and it certainly might be a horse who's improving. Maybe want to think about for the Jim Dandy or the Travers, even the Belmont if he runs.
Perfect stalking range, now within a half length of the lead. Antiquarian is 3 wide, and Protective gets a nice journey in 4th. Is only 2.5 off the leaders. Native Land continues to track
decent pace, and really no excuses for the Wine Steward or Antiquarian at this point. They're both in perfect position.
47 and 4, the half-mile time.
47 and 4. You see a little about average.
In the 2 path. Antiquarian is also engaged from 3rd. Protective continues to save ground towards the inside as they work into the far turn now. From
You
the
see
back,
now the
Native
wine
Land is
steward
starting to
making
pick it
his
up,
move.
and Deterministic has
The
trailed
Antiquarian's
throughout.
right to the,
And
true to the
now
task,
here
staying
comes
right
the
with
run
him.
From the wine steward is ready to challenge Unique Insight. Antiquarian is encouraged to move forward here from third. Protective is right there in fourth, in behind these leaders as they approach the top of the stretch. Deterministic, Native Land, they've got to pick it up from the back, and the wine steward's got the lead. The seam opens up for Protective, and now it just
It's a
closes.
little
The wine
slow to
steward,
change
Unique
leads,
Insight
I'd
still there.
say.
Antiquarian's
It took
trying
him a
to
little
run
while
both
to
down.
do that,
Protective
but
is
you can
still
see
looking
once he
for
gets
room.
into
It's
gear,
the wine steward who's fending him off. Antiquarian now. Protective is loose. It's
finishes off the
Antiquarian
wine
towards the
steward
outside.
nicely. The wine
Antiquarian
steward, I don't
pushed
think,
on
has
by
really
for John
progressed from
Velasquez.
2 to 3,
Antiquarian
it seems.
with the Peter Pan.
But
The wine steward second. Protective. Unique Insight.
we'll
Final
talk
running
about him
time,
another time. But
1:48
nice win for
and
Antiquarian. It looks pretty good to me. So now let's take a look at the pace study from the Peter Pan, and I think that's a representative race. You do see that these are fractions pretty much for a stalker. I thought it was interesting that it didn't appear to be visually, but seeing the middle move was pretty significant, you can see, and finished off with a nice 53.27, which is a really nice fraction. And as we know from the Derby, horses that get over a 53 coming into a mile and a quarter, usually it means that they're going to get the distance without a problem, and I don't think that's going to be an issue at all for Antiquarian. You do see that the percentage energy is about right for a stalker, so he's running efficiently, and that you have to like that. These are really nice pace fractions, and certainly it will be a step up for the Belmont, but what I think is very favorable is the rating style, the way he's learned how to stalk. He had been winning on the front end previously, so this is a horse who's learning his lessons well, and I think this is one, given the progression that we can see to date so far, I think this horse looks awful good for the Belmont, given the fact that the first two legs of the Triple Crown have been won on the front end, and I think obviously they're going to try to slow things down and keep Sierra Leone at bay, I would say. So I think there's a lot of positives for Antiquarian, and he looks pretty good to me at this point. But we'll take a look at issues and concerns. Competition, he's stepping up in class, so that's an obvious one. And then, so far what we've noted, the three that we've looked at Batten Down, Mindframe, and now Antiquarian. These are all horses who do want to run up on the front end. So other pace is a bit of a concern. Maybe the race shape won't be quite as favorable as Antiquarian would like it. But what I really like is the fact that this horse is just having those incremental steps of improvement each time, and he's doing it as the class is getting better. So you really have to like that. So to me, Antiquarian, of the new shooters, he looks pretty good, and I think he's one I'm going to be keeping my eye on as we do our deeper study in the elements of handicapping.